Somehow even more edgy than the rest of the samurai, Hitokiri's name literally means murderer, and she has no problem using her ASMR voice to ERP about how deadly she is as she's heavy spamming you to death. Onryo were vengeful spirits, even in name, that would injure, kill, or even outright cause fucking natural disasters, just to get back at that bitch Jessica that called her a thought once. So yeah, Onryo do seem like a good fit for Hitokiri's design, what with all the concentrated 15-year-old deviant level edgelording. Fitting Hito's edgy 4chan background, she's a big proponent of the "I don't stop attacking until one of us is dead" shtick. But with how all of her heavies are armored, chain infinitely, and have variable charge properties to throw off enemy timing. The way these heavies work is that they come in 3 flavors, level 1, 2, and 3. Level 1 is 700 milliseconds, armored at 100, or 300 for chains, and deal mid-length 22 damage. Not that crazy, but works to continue your chain and locks or kicks. We'll get to those later. Level 2 heavy starts at 1100 ms, but its other stats are the same. Level 3, however, is where things start getting goofy. Fully charging the move makes it end the chain, hit at 1400 ms, and delay the armor until 700 ms. But it also makes the move unblockable and do the second most damage of any single non-feat hit, beaten only by Shaman's Bite with 1 damage. Not too shabby for something you can access at any time from both neutral and chains. And of course your entire offense isn't only on charged heavy, even if it will get you a decent way there. At any point during a chain, you can press GB to start charging a kick, following the 3-level system your heavies do, except level 1 and 2 don't get the armor, but landing any of them guarantees a heavy. Definitely seeing that whole don't stop pressing mindset Hito has now, huh? This is the character for those that like spamming one move slightly differently, and the funniest thing is that it works for Hito. Now, what happens if your enemy gets to play the game long enough to somehow run out of stamina? Well, they're in for even more pain than normal, especially when you factor in Feats. On a grab, throw forward and heavy twice for 44 damage. On the flip side, if they'll die and you want an execution too, Hitokiri is one of the few characters that actually has an execution punish, and you can do a light into level 3 heavy. The timing for this one is a little goofy in that you want to delay the heavy input slightly so they wake up into the heavy but also not get the ability to parry or dodge. Your parry punishes are the same. However, I did lie. There is a higher damage punish, one only for those that are truly ready for the dark side, for those that really do love ruining people's days, and the only touch of death that For Honor still has. You can tier 4 people in your out of stamina punishes and guarantee the execution too. On an out of stamina parry, feint a heavy and then immediately tier 4, and on a forward throw, light into tier 4. Hito really has become an Onryo, capable of bringing about natural disasters on those monsters that called her Sonic OC cringe. Going into feats, she has Deliverance, Iron Lung, and Fast Recovery as her tier 1s. Deliverance gives you hyper armor and 120 HP shield whenever you execute someone. It's not an amazing feat because your enemies can still bash or grab you out of it, but it lets you ignore minions. Finally though, those stupid fucks will stop interrupting me when I'm this close to X. In general, it's pretty much a preference pick, but at least it's not outright useless like Iron Lung. Iron Lung lets you run well out of stamina, and you regenerate stamina while running slightly faster. And I do mean slightly. Don't pick this, just run one of the other two and you'll be good. And what balance in your tier 1s? You have a mediocre one of the worst in the game, and arguably the best tier 1 of the game in Fast Recovery. It makes you regen stamina twice as fast and still works even when you're out of stamina. You are basically immune to out of stamina punishes as soon as you get your tier 1 with this, and that is a power that cannot be understated. The sad thing is that this isn't as blatantly overpowered as Juggernaut, but that's a story for another video. Your tier 2 feats are Tainted Gift, Bloodlust, and Righteous Deflection. Tainted Gift lets you mark an enemy, and if that enemy gets executed within 30 seconds, be it you or a teammate, a healing Nova goes off for 50 HP for everyone within 12 meters of the execution. It's an alright feat in team fights, especially if you're running Deliverance to guarantee it goes off, but it has some big flaws. You need to actually have a use for that extra 50 HP, so if you kill someone while you're already close enough to max, then the normal execution will top you off anyways, basically wasting the feat. You also need to execute the enemy for it to even proc. Did they fight for their lives, never give you something you can heavy punish? Did you get interrupted? Did you do your max punish because they fell over, either from out of stamina or revenge knockdown? Then no healing for you, and no feat either for the next 90 seconds. It's not a useless feat, but it's probably one of the most situational tier 2s in the game to how many boxes need to be checked for you to even care if the feat procs. A much better on-kill feat lies in Bloodlust, where after getting a kill you deal 20% more damage and take 20% less for the next 10 seconds. It's a lot more consistent in its teamfight nature and doesn't force you to leave your teammates hanging for an extended period to get its value. Clean up that Peacekeeper hiding at 1 HP on the sideline, and ruin the rest of our team's day with your ridiculous damage, while having better HP swing in your trades all the while. It also helps with stalling while being ganked. However, if anti-gank is your real worry, then the last one is better for you. Righteous Deflection halves incoming damage for the next 5 seconds after you land a parry. This has so many applications in ganks that it's ridiculous. Are they optimally ganking and relying on you parrying to set it up? The confirm does half damage. Are they setting up a feat for a heavy hitting move like Shaman Bite? Half damage. And the best part about it is that Revenge Feed is based off the base damage of the attack, not what you actually took. The Shaman Bite gives you the same revenge whether it's 1 damage or 999. And given that Ito has access to heavy perks, you are one of the last heroes that the enemy wants to see in Revenge. Your tier 3 feats are Spirit Shroud, Heal on Block, and Nukekubi. Spirit Shroud activates whenever you execute an enemy and gives you 15% damage reduction for the rest of that life. I'd say run it if you're not running any other defense boosts. Remember that the same type buffs do not stack, so pick one and be done with it. The feat's main issue is that Hito's a heavy and has access to heavy perks. Those same heavy perks are some of the best effective health boosts in the game, meaning you almost always have some damage reduction in your perk loadout, which in turn makes this feat do literally nothing if a better boost is active. Just take it while you're grinding for gear and swap it out once you have your perks. Your second tier 3 is Heal on Block, which isn't that bad but not particularly good either. What it does is make you heal 4 HP every time you block an attack, but it doesn't cleanse dots like most heals. Thank God too. Can you imagine how broken it would be if you could shut down all the bleeders in the game with just by fumbling a block once? Well, not like we don't already have brain dead feats, I guess. Nukekubi is probably your best option, but much like Spirit Shroud, don't bother taking it if you're already running fast recovery. Running one or the other already makes you pretty much immune to going out of stamina. After all, there's no need to break out the railgun for a basic zombie, trust me. What Nukekubi does is directly refund stamina so long as you land the hit, and it even procs on bashes so you get to spam 24/7 and make those scrubs that think lights are unreactable lay awake at night. Likewise, I lay awake at night thinking just how nasty Hito's tier 4 selection is, barring one. Your stock tier 4 needs no introduction. Senbon functions as an unfeignable 1700 MS. Top heavy with armor that does 200 damage and gives you an execution when it lands. And unless you muted your video for that part somehow, you can guarantee your tier 4 and out of stamina punches, or use an evil gank to deem some poor soul unworthy of life. Your second, and worst, tier 4 is Regenerate. You get to regenerate 15 HP every 2 seconds. Seems pretty good, right? Well, you get to regenerate when you weren't doing any of these actions, so I hope you like standing still! Thankfully, Hito's last tier 4 makes up for the previous one in Fear itself. You put a bubble on yourself that marks all enemies within 8 meters of you, making them take 40% more damage. It lasts for 20 seconds and has a cooldown of 180 seconds. With this feat, you just have all enemies' effective health just by being near them, and in a T-Fighter gank, almost as free a win as Warmonger or Nusha's Corona feats. Probably best in slot, but you won't make me take off Senbon, damn it! And finally, the fabled heavy perks that I've been hyping up this whole video. Contrary to how I previously did feats, I'm only going to be going over the useful perks because, come on man, do you really want me to talk about how bad Aegis is? That's a good idea for a series actually. Hold on, let me drop that down. Anyways, Bastion! 10% less damage while you're playing an object of interest or on a point. On Hito and before other health boosts, you gain an effective 14 HP just for doing what you're supposed to be doing anyways. Your other level 1 perks are garbage, so just run this one. Vengeful Barrier is your first level 2 perk, and it gives you a 25 HP shield when you leave Revenge for 15 seconds, and this shield triggers the Revenge shield bug. If you don't know what that is, whenever you receive a time shield like Revenge, and then receive another time shield on top of that, the old timer is overridden by the new one. What that means here is that instead of your 120 HP shield lasting 8 seconds, it lasts 23 seconds. Needless to say, this makes you into a wall on its own and forces your enemies to actually attack you in Revenge to stop that shield from carrying over. Meaning for more free parries for you, and I don't think we need to go over what your knockdown punches do to people again. Your second level 2 perk is Last Stand, and what it does is give you 40% damage reduction when below 26 HP. All HP based feats and perks ignore shield, meaning you could have max shield, but so long as your real health is below the threshold, you get that reduction. This is one of the few times I'd get running multiple defense boost effects, mainly because of how low you have to be for this perk's admittedly incredibly powerful potential. Especially if you want your Hito to be a straight up wall that can for a moment time and time again. Fresh Focus is one of my favorites, in that it makes you instantly recover 20% stamina for every attack you block or parry, or grab you tech while out of stamina. I don't recommend running it on Hito, however, given your other ways to mitigate the out of stamina state. Not to mention just how tough the competition is for your perk slots on Hito. And finally, bulk up. So many people argue this is the strongest So many people argue this is the strongest perk in the game, and I can definitely see that. For every renown level you gain, that is to say, every feat you unlock, your max HP is increased by 4, with a total of 16 additional max HP when you get all 4 stacks. This affects more than just HP, because it also increases the amount of shield you can hold, because the shield cap is equal to your max HP. So let's just do some of everyone's favorite subject, math. I despise this, why did I choose this? I could have just done what other Ferrana creators do, it's about vapid opinions instead of fact.
This is a classic example of sunk cost fallacy. Just be done with it. Lower his damage even more so the cancer aspects of his kit don't matter as much anymore, and hope that people will not play him.
Anyways, for this, we're assuming you have a max HP shield while also being at max HP with all 4 stacks on a point with Bastion. Your effective HP is 343.2. For the record, that's 2 Hito tier 4s just to kill you, and the only thing that can actually kill you in a single hit is a drop attack, and only because drop attacks do 2000 damage. So, Hito wall build anyone? Considering everything we've gone over, I'd rate Hito as low A. Her kid isn't broken enough to hang any higher, and everyone else has a brain get out of jail free option, or just doesn't give a shit about what Hito's doing. Now we've heard all the unimportant things like mix, feats, and perks, but what about the most important of the character? The drip! Luckily Hito has some creativity, if not as much as some of the knights and other samurai, but given the amount of different options, I'm comfortable giving her a 7 out of 10. No catwalk star, but not Toothless Joe in the trailer park either. So, if you like doing crazy damage for no reason other than the fact that you just felt like it, and executing every person you kill with an unnecessarily long one just to BM them, or just pressing non-stop with zero concern for what your opponent is trying, then I wish you well. Thanks for turning up, nerd, and may we both show all our matches just why you should main Hitokiri.